That's going to be our intro.
All right.
All right.
Welcome to Between Three Rivers. We got our friend Jake Leonard here. So this is his first podcast ever.
Is it really?
Yeah.
You haven't been on a podcast before?
Never been on a podcast. I think
Wow.
I've listened to one in my life. Now 1.5, because Billy sent me one on what you guys are about. But I listened to JD Vance and Joe Rogan on my way to Nashville one time. But other than that, yeah, really.
Well,
His
maybe
life-
this was a big mistake.
Right? His life is a podcast.
Well, I wish
though,
you
so-
guys the best of luck going into this and the viewers.
Well, so we always start with an intro topic.
We do.
And
Let's introduce you and me too.
yeah,
though.
you know what? We should do that.
Yes. Yeah.
You go ahead first.
My name's Dan Copeland, and I am Billy's partner in the podcast business, and we've been doing this now for about almost a year and a half, and we're having a great time. And what am I now? I'm no longer the publisher of Business People magazine, but we do have a promotional product and apparel business, and we also sell all the advertising at the airport.
Hold on. I got to interrupt. It's been a year and a half.
Since we started, yeah,
Oh, my gosh.
almost,
know.
not quite, but almost.
I know.
Oh, my
we're doing all right.
We've got
You're not even really gray. You're a little golden up there, and Billy, you haven't gotten gray yet either. So this is a good business to be in.
it is.
It's not like a presidency.
It's it's hard to.
Well, we're not going 4 years yet.
We don't make a lot of money doing it. Just be aware.
Okay, all right.
And then
it's
my
been fun.
co-host over here.
Yeah, Billy
Billy
Corshid.
Corshid.
Yep. So, no, it's been good, Dan. We have fun with this. We really do.
Yeah.
And we bring in like some really awesome people like yourself. So, we never talk about ourselves, but we get to talk to you guys, so let you guys do the work.
Right.
But
We've
no,
had
it's
some
good.
great guests.
Yeah.
And then some others.
Yeah, get comfortable, you know? just get comfortable. We'll just
They're all
begin
great.
whenever you want.
They're all great.
I forgot that was there.
Oh, well, there's a story for you right
Yeah,
there.
we already got a story. What happened to your arm?
Did we introduce Jake?
No,
Put
we
your
haven't
mic
introduced
back.
me, but
Put your-
no, crap. Billy, did you finish? I'm sorry.
No, I want to know
I was getting a
now.
little hot. It already got started. First podcast.
Well, let's
the
tell them
whole
who you
bit.
are. So this is Jake Leonard. And Jake is the president, CEO of Preferred Auto on Illinois Road.
Yeah, I'm not the CEO, actually.
I don't know what he is.
I know you got.
He's involved with
people
Preferred
in the
Auto.
local community see myself on TV and they recognize me as the president or the CEO. But at the end of the day, it's owned by our family, and ever since my dad died, so my mom is actually considered the president. I'm considered the vice president, and then my brother-in-law, Billy's brother, Danny, is actually considered the treasurer. But when it comes to like anything significant, it goes through the family trust. So it's a split decision between me and my mom and my sister, and then Dan as well now. So, there's a lot to it behind the scenes ever since Jay's death. But, yeah, we're getting through it. And, but from the Preferred Auto standpoint, I do manage the day-to-days and the operations of the business. So
Thank you. Thank you for your clarity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
You can collaborate with everybody too.
Yeah, and people that are actually watching this, they're probably now wondering what the hell is going on with his arm. Yeah, I have these sleeves here, and I got mutilated by a dog.
Oh, yikes.
Dude.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
What were you doing to it?
the dog?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Just minding your own business?
Absolutely nothing. I don't know if you want the short story. That was a short story, but now I'm going to give you a long story. I was visiting a buddy down in South Carolina. It's just more of a wellness check to make sure he was okay. He didn't know I was coming down. And so I flew in at about 5:30 that Saturday. Got the plane ticket the day before, the whole bit. And he has about 3 acres. And I'm opening up his gate to the 3 acres, and I see him coming to the front door. He was in the middle of cooking dinner, and I call him by his nickname. I'm not going to say it right now, but I call him by his nickname. He's like, Jake? I'm like, yeah, it's me. He's like, what the fuck are you doing here? And I'm like, I'll get to that. And then his dogs start running at me. Well, to remind you, or to let you know, not to remind you, to let you know that he has a Belgian Shepherd. There's a specific name for it. It's basically a massive cop dog that's 105 pounds. And then he has a pit bull. and they come running at me. They jump on me, and as I'm kind of talking to them about, I don't know, 75 yards away, I'm like, get your dogs. They're about to eat my head off. He's like, all right, get in the car. I'm going to get some bones. Make sure you're okay. Get in the car, pull up your car behind my truck. So I'm like, all right, get in the car, pull up. He comes back out with bones, and he gets in the car. He's like, what are you doing here? Like I said, wellness check, making sure my buddy's okay, and just let him know that I love him. And I'm like, I'll get to that point. Give me those bones. He's like, all right, call him by name, pet him, give him the bones, you'll be good. So he gives me the bones. I open the door. Dog's coming around, running up. I'm like, Geo, Diesel, bones.
Yeah, you're like, just chill.
Yeah. And so they take the bones, they run away. We get out of the car, and he's like, dude, I'm in shock. What are you actually doing here? I'm like, just to let you know that I love you. And it wasn't 45 seconds later, this dog comes out of nowhere and just boom,
man,
grabs my arm. And
was it like a police scene where they like, do you remember? It's probably all like
there
a
was
blur.
only so much Cops that I watched, Billy, that I can't remember the dog attacks in it.
Oh man.
So it was bizarre. It was bizarre. When you're in it, it's like, wow, I just
You're fighting for your life.
Thank God he was right there and he pulled the dogs off, and I was like, damn, that hurt. That really, really hurt. So we went inside. It's dark outside. I can't see anything going on. And go inside, and I'm wearing a long black sleeve, and I look and you can see blood like kind of pouring through. I'm like, holy smokes. I'm like, this can't be good. He's like, take off your shirt. Let's see it. And we took off the shirt. He's like, holy shit. I'm like,
oh no,
this is crazy. So I'm like, do you have any first aid stuff? And he's like, nope. I'm like, do you have anything close around? He goes, I got a Dollar Tree about 2 minutes away. So we went to Dollar Tree, got some alcohol to pour on it, some gauze and bandages.
Oh my gosh.
Just like, typical.
Yeah. Let's not go to the hospital. Let's just it's like military.
So, why not try to rescue yourself before going to the ER? The last place you want to go is the ER. And so we went there and went back to his house and did that. And he's like, we really should go to the ER. So we went about 2 hours later. And
how far away was that?
15 minutes.
Oh, so it's pretty close.
It wasn't too bad. He's out in the middle of South Carolina. And so we went to the ER that night, and then the guy's like, look, because I told him, I'm like, I'm just visiting him real quick. I'm flying back. It's a Saturday. I'm flying back at 6 a.m. Monday morning, going to work. And he goes, no, before you go to work, you need to go see a hand specialist to make sure everything's right, because you're high risk of infection. So I'm like, okay, whatever. Still doctor again. And so they did what they could. They put like a drain tube in that night, and went Sunday, flew home Monday, and went to FWO on Monday, and I'm showing the technician that, and he's like, hold on, this is gnarly.
Yeah, not looking good.
And he sends a picture to the doctor that wasn't even in, and he comes back like 10 minutes later, and he goes, all right, so I sent the picture to the doctor. He's not in right now, but you're gonna have surgery tomorrow morning. I'm like, surgery? He's like, no, we can't stitch everything up right now because you're high risk of infection being an animal bite. We need to clean this up properly. You need to have surgery. So yeah, I had surgery a week ago.
What did they do? What was the surgery?
Basically like a proper, that's exactly what I was wondering. Because when you go, have you ever had surgery?
Unfortunately, many times.
This is my first surgery. Yeah. I went in there and the nurses are all checking you in, and they're like, what are you here for today? I said, I have absolutely no clue. Yeah.
Yeah, right?
I have no clue. I just know that they're doing something with this animal bite.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And
they clean it out though, right? They cleaned it out. They ended up finding infection that was already starting. So there was, thank God that I went in there, and that ER doc that Saturday night told me to go see someone first thing Monday, because it would have been way worse. And because then it goes everywhere in your arm.
I want to see it.
Oh, sure.
No.
Sure. You can
see it.
I'm sure the audience wants to see it as well.
Okay.
One of Jake's friends
How
said
do we do this?
We'll post it on the
I don't even know if we can do that. But one of Jake's friends was like, check this out.
see.
Yeah, scroll through there.
And you were, I think it was it James was like, he was just texting you and then you just sent him a picture of it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you
I didn't
seen-
really
like,
tell
oh.
anyone.
Have you seen these?
I did. I know. It's gruesome.
Holy cow.
It's gnarly.
Yeah.
And it's all swollen.
Yeah.
No, that's just his massive muscles, you know? It's,
Yeah.
Which
it's a
dog
workout.
got you?
The Belgium one, Diesel. Of
Oh,
course.
this is his normal muscle.
Obviously, his
Right,
name
right.
would
His
be
muscles
Diesel.
are always like that.
Yeah.
I cannot believe
Did you see the stitches yet?
I'm seeing this.
Oh, man.
Is it-
Yeah, that's a drain tube. That's pretty sweet, isn't it?
Where should I go?
Here.
Oh, man.
We need to
That's-
show this to the.
Yeah.
Do we? Do
yeah,
we actually?
Yeah. It put like some
Text Jake for photos.
warning.
Yeah, right? This is going to be an explicit episode.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
So that was after surgery. That was Friday. I couldn't take the bandages off. I was all wrapped up
When did this happen?
about 10 days ago. And then I had surgery a week ago from today.
Okay, so real
Yeah.
recent.
man.
Yeah, it was pretty wild. I mean,
Well, that's
pretty wild.
that's
every
right.
single person that I've seen at work, they're like, "Oh, what happened to you?" I'm like,
There's a little
"Yeah,
irony
just,
there, Jake.
Just
You
got
went-
mutilated by a dog. Just another day."
You went down on a wellness check, wound up
On
not so well.
You know,
his own
it's okay.
your own wellness.
It's
you
okay.
know, that's
I sent, and you know who it is.
I know.
I sent his mom a picture the following day because I'm like, I met with her the day before I got the plane ticket and just make sure she was okay.
Yeah.
And I'm like, look, I'll text you after everything goes on, see how he's doing, and I just want to have a heart to heart and make sure he's mentally healthy. And I texted her at about 4:30 on Sunday when I was leaving to go back closer to Charleston, to the city because I had such an early flight. And I said, you know what? It was a great trip. We only had one ER visit, and it was a selfie of us in front of the ER.
Here's a really pretty amazing coincidence. I was in South Carolina, must have been mid-February. Mm-hmm. I also wound up in the ER. In fact, I was admitted to the hospital for 48 hours.
Really? Uh-huh. From what?
Yeah, well, it's a long story, but
Well, I want the long story. I just gave you my long story.
I'll give it a short one. But a number of years, I had my colon ruptured, and that's a really dangerous thing. But since that time, I've had an obstruction, like scar tissue blocks your colon, so nothing can move through it. And that happened to me. I went down to play golf with a buddy of mine who has a condo down there, and got there on Sunday night. Tuesday night, I was in we played golf 2 days, in the hospital Tuesday evening through Thursday evening, and then flew back Friday morning. And so I got through it. And interestingly, I had to go to the doctor when I got back here. The ER doc said, he said, hey, when you get home, go talk to your surgeon because, there is a what's the minimally invasive surgery? What do they call those?
Yeah.
Whatever that is.
I'm not a doctor. I'm just a used car salesman.
They can do that. And so, so I went to my doc yesterday actually, and he said, I wouldn't do surgery. He goes, you run the risk of having more scar tissue. And he goes, I wouldn't do that. He goes, if you can put up with being in the hospital once every 6 or 7 years for a couple of days, do it that way. You're much better off.
Wow.
Jeez.
Yeah. So just coincidentally, South Carolina, something wrong with South Carolina.
Right.
Charleston. I don't know what they do.
Well, I'll
down
tell you.
there.
I'll tell you what.
Great town though.
It is a cool little town.
I'll tell you what. Jake and I have known each other for a long time because your sister and my brother have been dating since grade school.
Yeah, it's weird. It's great and it's lovely, and I wouldn't change a thing about it.
But
do you remember the fact when they did? If they ever watch this, I'm going to call them out on it. My sister more so. She broke up with him when Dan went to college, and she was a senior in high school. And I've never been more pissed off at my sister in my life because I love Dan.
Yeah,
He's
it's part of
always been
family
a brother.
already.
You guys
Yeah.
are family.
Yeah.
It's part of it.
And that's my point is like you went down to help a friend. That's Jake. He's very, very selfless. You call Jake, it only takes 2 rings. Jake answers. Just the other day, I was like, you want to come on the podcast? Called him, answered 2 rings. It's coming on. It's really,
you know what you called me yesterday for?
Oh yeah.
That's a great one.
Oh man, so I'm at work and I walk out and there's a truck in the pond.
In his pond.
What?
Outside of Braylon Laser. And I'm walking out, I'm looking at the dude, my arms are like, what? How? And
Is somebody in it?
Yeah. I'm like, no, I saw the guy who owned the truck.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, dude, what happened? And he's like, oh, I was emptying my ashtray and then I walked back out and my truck's floating in the middle of the pond. And I'm like, I call up Jake and I go, Jake, how do I get a truck out of the middle of the pond? And get this, they had to bring a rowboat out.
Is that what happened?
They brought a rowboat out.
I called Blue Eagle Towing.
Yeah, Blue Eagle
Good
Towing.
looks, Blue Eagle.
And so he sent me a video and he's rowing out there and he's got this big crane truck. And he's like, yeah, it's like $1 million truck. And it blows a hydraulic line because he's trying to lift it out. It's just going everywhere. And he's like, so they fix that and they get the truck out. And I mean, obviously this truck's totaled. And the guy's like, well, can I drive it home? No, I'm kidding. I'm just kidding. But
just a little flood damage, minor accident.
Yeah.
Towel off those seats.
Yeah.
You're good to go.
I thought we were going to end up just putting like a light fixture on the truck, maybe a fountain in the middle of it, just
that would have been great.
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah, great little selling pitch right there for people driving
It certainly
across
get people to notice
Highway
it.
69 right there.
It was a
They'd have been
Ford, America, it's good.
Yeah.
Speaking
America.
Speaking of which, our intro topic that we got a little bit.
What is that topic?
Whatever
Did we ever
happened
cover
to
that?
Yeah.
What is it?
That was a good icebreaker, by the way. Should we call it a dog bite?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
Little nibble.
So I wanted to bring up. We were joking with we don't talk about politics, right? But one I find interesting these days is the DOGE, the Defense or Department of Government Efficiency.
Yes.
And I wanted to see what people's thoughts were because I have an opinion.
Okay. Why are you bringing this topic up to me, Billy?
Jake, I know Jake has a lot of opinions as well on.
Yeah, to give you my background before going into this is I used to be a big old talker on social media, really just Instagram, when a lot of this stuff was going awry. And, I would say 2019, 2020, and then it even got worse with COVID coming out and people had nothing else to do except research, or if they weren't researching, they were just brainwashed. Still to this day. Anyways, I would post a lot on social media. I was trying to, from my standpoint, understand what the truth was behind the scenes. And I still to this day, I don't post anymore. I don't have time to do all that. Especially since my dad moved me out in 2018 to Illinois Road to run that dealership. It's just a bigger dealership, but I was running a little tiny store at the time. And that's when I really got involved in the whole political realm of things and trying to best understand it in order to protect my soul, health, the whole bit, and future generations. I mean, I have a daughter that's 6 years old. I have another son that's on the way. So, what are you if you can't have a good legacy and a good understanding and a strong foundation to live by? And so, that's why I have very strong beliefs, and I'm not afraid to talk about them. But the whole Doge thing, I know you bring it up, Billy, because you know who I am.
I know you're in on the. It's like we talk about on the show. It's like you can get so much information now, and what is information? What's good? What's bad? And what
is good and what's bad? That's always the conversation of the day. But the thing is, the conversation in a belief can't be had if you don't have the conversation in the first place.
Right.
And I think for a lot of for decades upon decades, you can't talk about politics and you can't talk about religion without offending someone. But then we get to this mentality in today's world, and you see a lot of people that, whether you believe that they're brainwashed by a governing body or can't see their own way out of it, that's their own personal issues. But at the end of the day, you gotta be able to have a conversation and to find a deeper understanding for oneself. whether that be political or religion, right? And the two can sometimes tie into each other. And I think with this whole Doge thing is it's very interesting because the person that's behind it all, Elon Musk, right? People that might know me or have seen my posts from before, I try to be open-minded to all of it. But Elon is one difficult person to try to understand. I don't try to put my belief in any man. At the end of the day, I only try to put my belief in God. And, I just try to understand man and where he comes from. And I think with Elon, he's a technocrat at heart. He has bigger motives to push technocracy before the good of
and the benefit word?
Of man.
Yeah.
What'd you call it?
Technocracy.
Yeah. Well, so here,
what's your? I was going to ask you. Yeah. You have an opinion about this.
Well, here's the thing: is
new
like
government agency. What's your opinion?
I take the people out of it, and what I do is I kind of evaluate what it is and its efficiencies. So for me, we have like our company runs off efficiencies. If we're not meeting efficiencies,
you're right.
Then all of a sudden we're losing money.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So for me, I think of it as like I don't know this is true or not, but maybe the government, the administration always used paper, and there's just a ton of paper sitting around. Where now everything's going into AI and all these different things, where it could be ran through faster, and then you find those faults.
You're right. Yeah. No, I completely understand where you're coming from, Bill, because you see a lot of the government spending. I think we all know about it, of what's going overseas, and a lot of it's getting like exposed with the USAID and just money being spent all over the world. And it's our own tax dollars, right? And you're wondering why. And at the end of the day, you have no control, but you want to be able to have control. And then by limiting down the governing body, you're limiting down that exposure and those wasteful dollars being spent, hence Doge, right? So, it looks like a good thing, but the way I look at it is, right now it's a good thing, but where are we going to be at in 10 to 15 years when it continues to be a good thing and you continue to weed out the tongue of man, and then you bring in robotic systems and you make it so normalized where that person doesn't have a job anymore. That 10-hour job becomes a 2-hour job, and then that person that has the 2-hour day job becomes dependent on the government. And where are we at when you're dependent on the government? You're controlled, your mind's controlled, and you're completely dependent on that system.
On the technology.
Technocracy.
So technology will be running us.
Well, and that's what, he's got young kids. I have young kids. We think about,
I think a lot of people get so caught up into the present, but like if you continue to let it go and let it happen, that system is going to evolve like AI. I mean, I hate saying it right now, but the employee handbook, a lot of it that me and my controller came up with was all through AI, and it was all AI generated. And it's like, we were wondering 6 months ago, like, how are we going to type up like 200 pages? And we don't want to copy and paste the last employee handbook that we made that's just way out of date. We need to update it. And then she just like kind of asks AI, and then it does your job for you, read through it thoroughly and make sure everything's good instead of like brainstorming. It makes your job a hell of a lot easier, but it's fucking scary. There's no doubt about it. I mean, we've seen a lot of the videos when it comes, or not videos, but movies and the TV series where AI and technology overruns man. I mean, they usually, what do they say? They usually say they shoot a film or they shoot a TV series in Hollywood 20 to 30 years prior to, and that's the actual technology that occurs during that day. So everything that you're seeing right now that seems like a sci-fi is what, 2055?
Ah, darn it. Will Smith and iRobot, why'd they have to
what year was that? Isn't that crazy?
Right, it is.
That was 20 years ago probably.
Yeah.
And now look at where we're at today.
I know. It is. We've talked about a lot on this show. It's like AI and I mean, there's AI in these mics. I mean, it's crazy. It's everywhere. But I appreciate you entertaining. It's going straight up. No.
It's crazy. I feel it in my brain.
Right?
At least I'm not chipped yet.
So, burning question. Is a used car salesman different than a new car salesman?
You know, they're all the same.
Thank you. That was my joke for that. All right, now what's your best sales pitch? Because you started selling cars, your first job with Preferred.
Yeah. I started back when I was 15 years old, not selling cars, but I started smashing oil filters in the back. So that was my first job with Preferred Auto. So, you know, you guys both know how Jay was. You know, you're going to earn your stripes and you're going to earn the respect around you, which I 100% understand and respect. I completely understood where he's coming from. I remember going back there my first day after my first day of that job when I was 15 years old, smashing oil filters. I didn't wear any rubber gloves. And basically you have this machine that smashes, you take the O-ring out, you smash the oil filter, you throw it away. And
why would you smash those?
You recycle them.
No, recycling.
Okay. Recycling, yeah. And I didn't wear any rubber gloves. I don't know if they told me to. I don't remember.
Rookie?
I'm a rookie. And I came home. Like, Dad, is this how it's going to be the rest of my life? My hands smell like shit.
Forever, like for a long time.
This is never going away. And so, you know, but that's where you start. And so, you know, I did that and I detailed cars and you cleaned up the service bays and the whole bit 2 days a week on Saturdays in high school and everything. And then he used to do the tent sale over at the Coliseum. I mean, a lot of people that have been to Fort Wayne long enough remember the tent sale. So this is when they used to bring all car dealerships out there, and it was just you would drive from car dealership to car dealership on a golf cart, and it was just a show.
Oh yeah.
And then Jay did that for quite a few years beyond the fact, and that was the first time I started selling cars. I was
sidebar right there though. When I used to know the Leonards, I would drive the cars for them from lot to the tent.
Yeah.
And we would race. It was a legit race.
Yeah, sounds about right.
I don't know what the liability was, but
didn't matter. As long as you won.
Don't tell the Hayes group.
Little shout out. That's good. Anyway, yeah, you're sorry. Cut you off there. But yeah, you started there and then you did sales.
Yeah. Okay. So I started selling cars when I was 17 years old. And, you know, I didn't know I was going to do that. My dad called me the day before the tent sale started. And he goes, Jake, I don't care what you got going on this weekend, but we have tent sale and you're going to sell cars this weekend. I said, what are you talking about? I'm going to sell cars. I don't know what you're talking about. And he's like, yeah, you're going to figure it out. And, you know, it was wild because you get customers coming out there and they're like, I'm looking for an SUV. And I'm like, 17, I never really gave a shit about cars. Honestly, growing up, I'm like, SUV, what's SUV stand for? What's that mean? So I'm just like, okay, I'm following them. Just leading them on.
Trying to find it.
Do you see one you like?
Yeah. It's red. It's got metallic flakes. So, you know, it was a wild experience. And I'll never forget the first person that I sold the car to. It was a 2006 Chevy Avalanche. And this guy came up and he had a big beard. And I feel like a lot of people in today's world would be intimidated by this guy. I'm thinking he's 30, 35 years old. And we talked and he told me what he was looking for. And he told me that he had $25,000 to spend, which at that time was a lot.
Yeah.
Not anymore, but yeah, at the time it was a lot. And I'm like, okay, cool. $25,000. Great. We'll find you a truck. whatever. I don't know what I'm doing. And sure enough, we went over numbers, and he said, look, before we go over numbers, though, let me call my grandparents. Well, he was 18 years old. I wasn't judging a book by the cover. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just trying to understand, trying to sell a car. And I think that's the issue where a lot of, especially salesmen, doesn't matter how long you've been in the business, we talk about it all the time in our sales meetings, is don't judge a book by its cover. Like, get to understand them, fact find, tell them about us, and then we'll go from there. But if you don't ask the right questions, you can't get the right answers, right? And I wasn't doing either, but everything kind of just fell through. And I ended up selling 5 cars in 3 days, and I outsold a lot of guys. And during that tent sale, guys that have been with us for 5 to 10 years, selling cars, and that's where I kind of got the taste of selling cars. And I'm like, okay, this is cool.
A little competition there too, right?
What else?
Yeah.
What else? And so I continued to continue to wash cars and do my thing, go to school. And after the fact of high school, I went to school in North Carolina and wanted to pursue business and get a deeper understanding within the business realm within my education, and found a really, really cool school down there called High Point University. Your alma mater plays them in the first round.
I know. Purdue plays them in the first round.
Yeah. And I've gotten about 4 texts too. Side note. Yeah. I got about 4 texts in the last couple of days of, is High Point going to win or is Purdue going to win? Because a lot of people know I'm a Purdue basketball fan.
Right.
I'm like, they're not my alma mater. I never graduated.
Yeah.
so I really don't care. I just gave a quick donation after a year and a half.
Right.
And then transferred back because, I went to school down there and I'm like, why the hell am I 500 miles away when I can be learning the business and getting an education at the same time was my thought. And I ended up transferring back home to PFW and went to school there for another semester. And I'm like, you know what? This is ridiculous because you know what? I can go spend hours and studying hours at this school, but the best educator that I have is my dad, and that's back at Preferred Auto, and that's where I need to be. And I knew I think he really wanted me to graduate because he never graduated. He only lasted not even a half semester at Ball State. But besides the fact is you don't realize how much you have until you go far away. And Fort Wayne is one of the best places, not only to raise a family at this point, now that I realize, but the community around here is so strong and wants to be able to support each other. And a lot of places you can't find that. And it's a really, really good, you want to say, big town, small city, but I'm going to say it's becoming a big city, and it's going to become a very, very big city, I think, in the next 15 to 20 years with the people that we have around here. And I'm excited to see what it has to hold here in the next 15, 20 years.
Well, Jake, I appreciate you saying that too, because, we both also knew Jay pretty well, one way or another. And
you guys all used to get sweaty at Absolute Results together.
Yes,
we did. Yes, we did.
I know.
Jay would always say, "Slow down, Billy."
Well, you did too.
Yeah, I got sweaty because I was in trouble. That was my high school days.
Oh, was that back in high school?
Yeah, I got in trouble.
So you had to go to the gym.
So
it was the best thing for me, though.
Yeah, it's a good thing. Yeah.
Some people don't.
Yeah.
It's a great workout at Absolute Results.
It's a great workout. Yeah. Great. Best shape I've ever been in.
Yeah, me too.
Jason Rubin really knows how to
in fact,
carry up.
The best shape I was ever in, I think I was like 54 years old in the best shape I'd ever been in.
Really?
I mean, 6-pack. It was pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
What
now
happened?
I'm way older.
What happened?
Yeah, good question.
Diet is everything that happens.
Honestly,
Yeah.
It's the worst part of about it all.
So let's talk about your dad.
Yeah, if you don't mind, I mean, I know
You're good.
it's just like I remember him in such a great light, always. And you mentioned him dropping out of school and everything like that, and I know he came into our school once and talked about his past You know more than me.
Oh, he did.
Yeah, but it was
He used
so
to do that. Yeah.
powerful. Like I had no idea. I knew Jay, I knew Jake, I knew Alex, I knew all these people, and all of a sudden Jay's talking about his past. I'm like, oh my gosh, I did no idea.
Right.
And he had a lot of was it alcohol abuse or
Both.
drug abuse?
and alcohol.
And he had to find a way out.
He did.
And he did.
You're exactly right. You didn't know any of that
No.
before that?
Before he came in, no, I didn't.
Did you know that? Yeah. So, it's wild. His story was nuts. I mean, he would go to Northrop every single semester. And that's the first time I actually heard it. Was he pulled me out of Bishop Dwenger, went to the health class, and he goes, all right, because he knew I was just being a teenager, let's just say that. And he's like, I think he knew and didn't want to say it and just been like, you need to come listen to me. Whether you take from it or not, that's your own choosing. And so he got involved pretty early in the drugs and the alcohol. I remember when in his story, he's like, I didn't know what it was, but I was over at the park and there was a McDonald's tray and there was some kid de-seeding some weed. And I went over to him and he was 12 or 13 years old. And he's like, I went over to him and asked him what he was doing. And all I heard was, do you want to be my friend? I don't know what he said, but all I heard was, do you want to be my friend? And that was the moment that I started smoking weed. And it evolved from smoking weed to selling to dropping out of baseball his freshman year in high school. He was on the varsity team to just being a really tough kid. Let's say that. His parents were split at the time, and my grandpa was sober. And my grandpa, I'll get to that point, but he really made it tough on his parents, and got out of high school, went to college, and dropped out of Ball State. His dad basically grabbed him, knew he wasn't going to classes, flunking out, and said, look, you need to get your shit in order, and you need to come figure it out, and moved back, went to PFW. Sounds familiar.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
And I don't even think
your grandfather, Jake, he died in a car crash, right?
Yep. So basically, my dad went through all this. I mean, he was buying. I'll get to that. Okay.
Sorry, I don't mean to.
You're good. And so Jay went through all this, and he went. If you guys know the corner of Hannah and McKinney, it's not a great neighborhood in Fort Wayne. It definitely wasn't back in the early 80s. And he was selling kilos of cocaine. He was buying it from a doctor out of Detroit at the time. And it got so bad where he owed this doctor $25,000 because he was using too much. He wasn't selling. He was using. And he went to his dad and he goes, I'm going to get killed. I'm going to get killed because one of his hitmen already came to his doorstep, beat the shit out of him at Three Rivers Apartments.
Oh my gosh.
When he was 20 years old, and said, look, you better get us $25,000. If you're not, you're dead. You're dead. You owe us that money in a week. And he went to his dad, and his dad goes, nope, you did all to yourself. You need to figure it out. I'm sad to see it happen, but you need to figure it out. And my dad's like, I'm going to die. And basically, he ended up getting the money, and he said, look, I'll give you the money, but you got to be sober for a year. And so my dad became sober for a year at the age of 21. And through that, he needed to prove a point to his dad. And when he was getting sober, my grandpa was sober for about 13 years. He was an alcoholic as well. And I mean, I've talked to my Uncle Jim about it. My Uncle Jim remembers when he was a little kid going on the road with him, putting all of his bottles in his travel bag. He'd sell shoes and everything before he sold shoes and became an insurance agent. And he'd take my dad's oldest brother, Jim, on the road, and they would just drink. And not Uncle Jim, but my grandpa. And that's how bad it was. And it just runs through the family. So, so Jay continued to get closer and closer through his bond after he got sober with my grandpa. And about 3 years after he was sober, they were in a really, really good position. And my grandpa, Jim, got my dad a job in the auto industry with Hefner Chevrolet over on State Street before it came Kelly's. And that's how Jay got in the car business about a year before my grandpa passed. And as weird as it is, my dad got a phone call one evening and said, "Hey, this is Officer so-and-so. Is this Jay Leonard?" And he's like, "Yeah, this is Jay Leonard." And he goes, "All right, we're calling on behalf of your dad. You got a minute to come for us to come by?" And he's like, "No." It was a funny name. I forget what it was. I wish I could remember. But he basically said, "Look, Jay, this isn't a joke. Your dad was fatally hit by a drunk driver, and he's not here." Man. And yeah, and that was 3 years after my dad's sobriety when he was 24. And you can take that one of two ways. Being in that predicament, you can either go back on the bottle and continue to go that way, go the way you were going before, go the way my grandpa was going before, and try to numb it all up. Well, what the hell is that going to do? Because the moment you get sober, you're going to keep drinking the bottle. And he goes, "You know what? I'm just going to continue to make my dad proud." And that's why he continued to stay sober. And he lived every single day, even before that moment, and at that moment, and continued on to the day he passed away to make his dad proud. And that's, honest God, the truth. So because none of his sobriety, I wouldn't be here. He would have never met my mom. Yeah. None of that would have happened if it wasn't for his sobriety, number one.
At age 21, that's when he cleaned up his act. At age 21.
When you're supposed to start drinking.
Right? So all that stuff happened before he was 21 years old. Not your grandfather's death, but all of his addictions and everything. All those things.
Everything.
Before he was even 21 years old.
Yep. So, it runs in the family. I've always been blessed to know it's right there, and there's always a shoulder to lean on. And you got to understand, when you get down to that bottom point, that there's a higher power, and that's the first thing that you got to lean on to and latch on to. And my dad always taught me that because he knows it's genetic. Because both of my uncles, Uncle Jim, Uncle John, they're both in the program. Uncle Jim's been sober, I don't know. Sorry if he ever listens to this, but I would say 15 years. And Uncle John's been sober for, I believe, 30.
And those are your dad's brothers?
My dad's brothers. And then my grandpa was sober for 15 years before he got hit by a drunk driver. And then my dad was sober for almost 40 years before he passed away from cancer. Mm-hmm. So, I pay attention to it. I'm not going to lie. I even when I was at High Point, I brought up High Point University. There was freak out episodes from my standpoint when I was 18, 19 years old that I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know if that was me. And I literally looked up AA programs down there. I don't know if you even know that. But there was, I put myself in meetings and I didn't drink my last semester that I was down there because I didn't know if I had an issue or not. I was just really out of my element and out of my place. I drink to this day, but I don't try to get over intoxicated. I try to control it and have a good time. And if it gets out of place, I try to realize that at the time. And I know it's an addiction. There's an addiction that runs genetically through my family. So it's a disease at the end of the day. And it's
Jake, I appreciate you saying that, man.
It's scary. It's very scary, but you got to be able to control it the best that you can. And sometimes addicts don't have control, and that's why you got to hand it over to someone else.
Well, and I think that we've had some people on this podcast that has had substance abuse and everything. And, there is only one way out, right? Mm-hmm. And a lot of people lean on faith, and also, it's a bigger issue. Like a lot of people have genetic things or, issues with it. So it's good to talk about.
You have to talk about it.
Yeah, I'm glad you're talking about it. Didn't know we were going to get there, but I really do appreciate you saying
me
that.
too. Yeah, it's an important message.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now, fast forward, Jay did so much for the community. I mean, it's like,
he's like a kind of a pillar of Fort Wayne, you might want to say.
Yeah, right.
To me, he's dad.
Yeah. But you turn, not just the commercials. I know you guys were on some commercials and those were awesome. But you turn and talk to somebody, you're like, Jay Leonard? Oh yeah, I know Jay Leonard. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it was just cool to hear that. And, I was just talking to Jason Peets here, and he's our engineer here. And I was telling him, I was like, it's crazy that he was going and all of a sudden, going just fine, everything, and then fell.
Mm-hmm. Literally.
And then all of a sudden it's not Jay.
It was a quick process.
Because he had, surgery and everything. But I still remember talking to him for the last time, and he was clear as day. Right. I remember like people saying, "Oh, he's not. It's hard for him to get his thoughts across and everything like that." But honest to God, I was talking to him, and it was like talking to him 15 years ago.
Right. He did that to the nurses,
it was wild. Like he was talking to me about the past, present, and future.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'll clear that up. That was the cool part, that you could still get the J out of him when he had brain cancer.
Yes.
And I mean, he was in Parkview Vandalia for 40 days to be exact. And there was an instance where like doctor would come in and he'd be like, "Hey doc, how you doing? How you doing, doc? It's nice to see you." Believe it or not, one of the docs was in AA with him, and we're like,
"What?"
We didn't even know. And then till the doctor, I met him in the hall. He's like, "Yeah, I'm in the program with your dad." I'm like, "You are?" He's like, "Yeah." So they recognized each other. Jay's in the middle of brain cancer, just got out of 7 days of help me out, Bill. No. 7 days when he went under, when he was.
Oh, okay. All the surgery and everything. I mean,
when he had the major seizures, I'm drawing a blank. Anyways,
induced coma,
medically induced coma. Thank you. He was in an induced coma for 7 days, and then he went to a hospital for 40 days after that to try to rehab him. And so, he would do that. He would do that to the nurses, to the doctors, and then when it came to task taking, and I have a video on my phone. It's really sad. They would be like, "All right, Jay, we're gonna figure out what word doesn't belong." And it'd be like orange, red, clouds, blue. What word doesn't belong? Well, 3 of them are colors, and then clouds is just randomly out there. And he'd be looking at them and he couldn't figure it out. But his brain couldn't do that task.
And let me clear that up. I didn't mean that like Jay wasn't Jay. Like he didn't look like it, right?
Yeah.
But he still had that.
He still had that. Yeah. He still had it in him. Yeah. He knew how to bullshit sometimes.
He was pretty good at that.
Yeah, he was really good at that. So, that was wild journey. Yeah. It really was.
Well, you sent out emails to a large group.
Yeah, I did.
And
before I came here, I tried to look at a couple, and
I have a lot of respect for you because that could not have been easy for you to do that.
Updates along the way of everything happening. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's.
Has it been 3 years? 2 years?
May 3rd will be 2 years.
2 years. Yeah.
Yeah. So the emails I tried to send out was just simply updates, but with the content of faith and understanding. There was a lot of things going on during that time that I think all of us that knew Jay were trying to get answers to. Like someone so healthy, almost 40 years sober, doesn't even eat red meat on top of it because his stomach couldn't digest it. Yeah. It's just like, okay, how much healthier of a 60-year-old guy can you get?
Right.
And then all of a sudden brain cancer comes along him. Why now? Who is to make this judgment on him? You know, at the end of the day, we don't get to choose when, why, or how. You know, that's one person above.
That's right.
And so he, the answers came through that journey, through the love of others, and through faith. Ultimately, all of our, from my standpoint, especially, a lot of my closure and my acceptance and my understanding came through faith. And that's why I'm able to sit here and talk about it and completely digest it all. I mean, I might get teary-eyed here and there, but there's pretty cool things that happened throughout that time, if you don't mind.
No, give us some examples.
You know, there was 3 people that he saw at the end of his life, and I was right there to witness every single one of them. I mean, I didn't physically witness some, but through faith and through my dad's understanding and through his faith, I knew what was happening. And so he had brain cancer. A lot of people don't know, but he had a astrocytoma. It was a very rare form of brain cancer. It was about, I think, only 2% of people actually get this form of brain cancer who have brain cancer. And so we went to Cleveland Clinic. We were trying to get him the best doctor, and he ended up having surgery January 10th of 2023, and he had a great surgery. They can only remove about 70% of what they believe of his brain tumor because it was in his temporal lobe and it was going really far in. So they could only cut out so much without physically damaging him, his thought, his processes. So surgery happened. He was Jay, right? Mm-hmm. And then February 1st came around and he had to do radiation beyond the fact. And he came home, he was having some weird episodes. And that night I got a call from my mom, or it was from my dad's phone. I was actually rewatching a Florida Duke game, I think is what it was. It was like 12 o'clock at night. And I was like, what am I doing up? And I see my phone calling his dad. Like, what's up, Dad? And it was my mom. She's like, Dad's having a seizure. I'm like, okay, on my way. Well, we both live in Pine Valley. We're in the same neighborhood. So I whip around, like, basically it's a U, and got there within a minute, and my dad's just frozen on the ground. And I just grabbed my mom, and the firefighters got there, and they gave him a shot to calm everything down, and did the complete opposite. It was 30 seconds later, he just started seizing again, just frozen. And I just grabbed my mom to protect her. She already saw enough. She's already been through enough. I just wanted to protect her at the time. And went in the hospital that night, and they were trying to figure everything out. About 3 days later, his brain was constantly seizing. So it was called status epilepticus, from what I remember. Status epilepticus. So basically what happened was, a couple days later, his brain reached a state where it was constantly seizing, and the only way to get that seizure reduced was to be able to provide him the right medications. Well, you're trying to give this guy medications that's been sober for 40 years. He's a handful itself. And you don't know what medications. I mean, every person's different, but this guy's really, really different. He's not used to drugs anymore.
Right.
And so that took about 5 days in the medical. They had to put him in medically induced coma. It took about 5 days for them to figure out his medications that could work, and then they finally got him out of that seizure. I'll never forget. This is Jay. They bring him out because I didn't want to have them bring. I didn't want to see that breathing machine or the tube get pulled out. Yeah. So they pulled me in right after, and my mom and sis and everyone else was in there, and my wife, and I stand at the end of the bed, and the nurse goes to Jay, because he could finally talk. He wanted to talk like the last day. Yeah. And the nurse goes, Jay, do you remember who that is? And he goes, who, that piece of shit?
To you?
What the hell?
To you?
Yeah, I'm like, you were just in a coma for 7 days, and this is how you're going to remember me? Really? Really? But that was his sense of humor,
for sure.
And that was the cool part. But then, he had to go. 40 days after that, he was in Parkview, Randalia, trying to get treatment, trying to get healthy again to get to radiation, because you can't be inpatient getting outpatient radiation. So long story short, fast forward in like late April, he was in the middle of radiation. He was good, doing pretty solid for what it was. He was weak. He was really weak. And then he just got tired one weekend. I made him his favorite lamb shanks, and he just kept eating lamb shanks because he kept forgetting how much lamb shanks he was eating.
And you still had hope at that point that he was going to be okay.
I always had it. I always had hope.
Yeah.
Always had hope.
Yeah.
100%. I figured out, I tried to figure there was no way my dad was dying. There's no way.
Yeah.
But, if it comes to that point, let me have peace with it. So it was a Monday morning, and that Sunday night he was really tired, and every Monday morning during radiation he had an oncology appointment, and he goes in, his blood pressure is really low, and she's like, look, he's going right to the ER. We're going to get chest scans, head scans, make sure everything's okay. And so they send him over right to the ER, and my wife and sister and my mom all go to the chapel there. So I'm sitting there with Dad, and finally X-ray doc comes in, and they're like, hey, can you get out of the room? We're just going to do a couple scans of his chest, make sure everything's good. I'm like, okay, yeah, no big deal. So go to the hall, and I just start praying. I start praying specifically to my buddy George. My buddy George, before this, passed away with pancreatic cancer at the age of 30 years old, about a month before this. I'm like, George, what's going on? Can you just give me some sort of answer? Like, go knock on Jesus's door and give me some sort of answer, George. I can't believe we're already here. We already spent 40 days in the ER, in the hospital with him in therapy. I don't want to be back here. Give me some sort of answer. So, like I said, then my dad got really, really tired, and I go back in there after the chest scans were done, and he just kind of comes up and he goes, George. And I'm like,
no
wow.
way.
I'm like,
Wow.
What? What about George, Dad? And he just goes, George. And he kind of smirked and went back down, and I'm like, what in the world? There's no one else except my dad and Jesus Christ that knew that I was praying to George. And you just answered it, George. So thank you.
Wow.
So that was the first person that he saw. And then that was on a Monday. And then Wednesday, that he was getting, 2 days later, he was getting a swallow study done, because they were thinking he had, a lot of it, they found fluid in his lungs. So they wanted to get a swallow study done, figure out what was going on there. Well, I guess you got like 2 flaps in there. They're trying to figure it out. And it's like a live X-ray. It's pretty wild. And I said, Mom, go home. I'll go downstairs to this area and watch Dad, everything, whatever. I don't know. And so I go down there. I wanted to give my mom a break. And he's laying in bed, and they have to pick him up, put him in. He's just sleeping, basically. Mm-hmm. And they strap him in. They're like, all right, Jay, we're going to give you applesauce. We're going to give you water. I mean, they start off like with water, then applesauce, and then try to think thicker things. Yeah. And you could see, I didn't even have to be a doctor. I'm like, that doesn't look good. And so they move him back to his bed, and they go back and talk and whispering back there. And they're like, come back out to me, and they're like, all right, do you want to know? Like, I kind of already know. I know it's not good. And they're like, you can just see the fear on their face. I'm like, okay. And then out of nowhere, my dad kind of springs forward, and he's like, Dad.
Jeez.
And I'm like, just looking at him, and I look at the nurse, and I'm like, can you just ask him who it is? And he puts his hand on Jay's shoulder, and he's like, Jay, who are you talking to? Who's your dad? And he goes, Jim. And he never brought up his dad, who passed away. I mean, let alone Grandpa passed away in the early 80s. I never met him. My mom never even met him. My dad was getting very, very close to him. And that was the most excited time I heard my dad the whole entire time he had cancer.
Wow.
And so I was pretty blown away because at that time too, he couldn't even answer, what the day was, what the month was, who the president was. I mean, that's kind of a trick question though. So, I think they were trying to get him there at Parkview because that's when Biden was in. Anyways, so I went back to the room and go back and I'm telling Mom about it. And this is 2 or 3 hours later. And as I'm talking to Mom, like saying, hey, look, there's nothing we can do about this pneumonia. Like the brain cancer basically caused everything to not work in his muscles down here, which is causing the pneumonia. I said, we just need to appreciate our time that we have with Dad. That was the first moment that I knew Dad was going that Wednesday.
Yeah.
And shortly after that, as I was telling Mom, she was just kind of stunned. And during that time, my dad out of nowhere just goes, you're so beautiful. You're so beautiful. I love you. I love you. You're so beautiful. And he had tears coming down his face, just sleeping. Just, I love you. I love you. You're so beautiful. And my mom goes up to him and holds his forearm. And she goes, honey, who are you talking to? And he goes, Mary, she's so beautiful. Mary, she's so beautiful. And we're Catholic. We believe in Mary.
Man, that's profound stuff.
And, that between those three people that he saw at the end, especially the Mother of God at the end, it gives me a lot of closure knowing that he's in the right place and he was going to see the right people. I mean, he saw George, his dad, and Mary.
Yeah.
So,
man, what a story.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that.
Dude, I'm like speechless. And the thing I'm thinking about now is like how intertwined you guys are with your faith, but also you've opened yourselves up to let it come in. And then, I was thinking about how your dad lost his dad as well. And like you two have like a lot of, through this whole story, have so many things in common. And now like your dad, fought to make his dad proud. Now you are in the transition of making your dad proud too.
Exactly. Did I ever think that was going to happen to my dad? I mean, I thought he was just, he's never going to die. He's like the healthiest guy ever, but you just don't know when.
Right.
So you appreciate, you cherish every single moment, every single second. As cliche as it sounds, you just don't know when.
Yeah. And you know what you did? Like you guys were always together. You helped him in the business. You had that time together, and now you're sitting here and you're trying to make him proud, and you are, man. You're doing a good job.
I appreciate that.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
The part that I feel like that I had a one up with my dad on was he didn't have the chance to say goodbye with his dad. And at least I had, from the outside, people think 5 months, he died from brain cancer. You know what? I hope after anyone that listens to this and hearing that story gets closure from all that, just like I got closure from that, because, we had a damn good 5 months there, but that's not the way we fully want to remember him. We want to remember him by the guy he was, by the heart he had, and, what he did for everyone else and not expecting anything in return.
Yeah.
And that's the guy that he was.
Yep.
Just a couple observations, Jake. I know you were close to your dad. You guys, golf was a big thing for you, as well as with your mom. They played 100%. A lot of golf, and I used to see him often at Pine Valley. Your whole family, grandkids, everybody having a great time. So he was a great family guy.
Yeah.
The other thought I have is when he would come into the gym, when he was at Absolute Results, I can tell you, everyone there was having more fun when he was there.
Yeah.
Because he was upbeat. He was always joking around, playing practical jokes, just having a great time. Right. And everybody had a much, much better workout when your dad was in the gym.
And in the room in general. Like in the room in general. And you have that too. All right. So, it's great to see that. And,
thank you.
running a little out of time, but I did want to.
What? We're running out of time?
I know. I
is
got
it?
so many things.
3 hours.
Okay. It's pretty early. We can keep going.
So I did, though, seriously want to. We're talking about a lot of faith today, but how you found out about having your most recent pregnancy.
Okay.
I think it's cool.
Faith
man.
related.
Yeah,
It's really, really cool. So,
because you have one right now.
100%.
Yeah.
Yep. Penelope, Nellie, whatever you want to call her. She is, she's a hoot.
She's the best. Yeah.
Yeah. She's hilarious. So, me and my wife, we've been trying for years. And again, it's God's divine intervention, I feel like is how this all happened. My buddy Tyler Tittman invited me over for this big chili cookout. He calls me and he's like, "Hey, Jake, I know you love to cook, love to smoke meats, the whole bit." And he goes, "I'm trying to cook like 60 pounds of chili." I'm like, "Sign me up. Let's figure this out." That sounds like a blast.
Yeah.
Because he just got this property. He wants to bring everyone to it. And so it was me, him, and his cousin. And his cousin actually graduated with my sister, Joey Cologne. And so I'm talking to, we're getting he has this big old pot over a fire. Like this, I forget what you called it, but it's this massive thing. And we already prepped everything. And so we're there watching it, just like you would. And he's like, "Jake, how many kids do you have?" Joey is asked this. And I'm like, "Oh, we just have one. Like we've been trying for a couple of years, but no luck. I don't know what's going on. I mean, we've been to every single baby doctor in town, it seems like, and even in Indianapolis. I don't know what's going on." I mean, we didn't go as far as the IVF, but we did the IUI, and I don't know. She's producing eggs, healthy eggs. My sperm's good.
Yeah. No answers.
Cool. Just
Yeah.
keep practicing.
Right.
That's cool with me. So he goes, I said, "You know what I think really though is that it comes down to my wife. She got a month after she gave birth to Penelope, she got her gallbladder removed. And I think it's something with nutrition because she's had to change her whole entire diet. I don't know what's going on, but she's just not being able to keep weight on like she did before. I just think it's something nutritional." And so he just smirks at me and he goes, "Dude, everything's going to be all right." So what do you mean? He goes, "My wife had the exact same thing. We had no issue with our first. We had a baby, tried for a couple of years, and come to find out she had like this scar tissue in her uterus." Typical guy talking like scar tissue in the uterus. Well, come to find out it's called endometriosis. So the $1 million question is, how do women get it? I asked Dr. Stroud that. No one, he said that's a great question. I wish I could find that out because we would help a lot of women. So my wife ended up having that after trying for 4 years, and went in. She got it removed, and he said, "You know what? Everything's perfect. Her ovaries are perfect. Her tubes are perfect. You should be pregnant by the end of the year." And this was in July. She had surgery July 1st. And so fast forward a couple months, and we tried for a couple months, and you get disappointed in that first couple months because you're like, "Gosh, she's not pregnant yet? What the heck? We had surgery."
Yeah.
And it just wasn't happening. And so I go to church. I try to go to church downtown at the cathedral during the week, once or twice a week. And I went to confession before then during this day. It's just my heart was weighing heavy on me, and went to confession. And I'm walking out, and I pass my neighbors right down the street from my parents. They've been there forever, Tim and Janet Didier. And they're like, "Hey, Jake, how you doing?" And so I'm talking to them. I'm like, "Everything's good. Like, how are you guys?" And they check on family. And I'm like, "Everyone's doing great. My wife's doing great. My daughter's doing great." They bring up the same question. "How many kids you got? You got a lot, right?" Same thing Joey asked. I'm like, "No, we just have one, but we're trying. Like, just keep us in your prayers." And, Tim smirks at me and he goes, you know what, Jake, everything's going to be perfectly okay. Exactly what Joey told me.
Yeah.
And he goes, my parents tried for quite some time, and they got word to go see this priest that was coming in Huntington, Indiana, and go talk to him because there's been some wild things happening once people that talk to him and keep him in that he prays for. His name's Blessed Solanus Casey. He's now a saint in the Catholic Church. And he goes, they ended up meeting with him, and they were trying for years. And finally, once they met with him, that was the first of, I think they said 13 kids. And he said, you keep trying. You're going to be perfectly healthy.
So you don't really want a long meeting with this guy. You want to
Yeah. I want a mediocre meeting. I want like 6. So, whatever God grants us. But, they met with him, and she was perfectly healthy throughout all of her pregnancies and had a lot of children. And it's pretty wild to be had. And he goes, Jake, why I'm telling you this is that you need to go pray to him. He has a statue at the back of the cathedral here. Like, never paid attention to that statue at all.
Right.
And so when, are you Catholic? So when you do confession, they give you a penance. So they'll be like, after you confess your sins, they'll say, all right, go say 3 Hail Marys and 3 Our Fathers and a Glory Be, whatever the case is. So I did my whole penance back there at Solanus Casey, right after Tim told me, because I just got done with confession. I haven't done penance yet. So I did that right at Solanus Casey at a statue and everything. And after penance, I prayed about family again. And I said, look, God, whatever your will is my will. It's okay. It's okay if Penelope's the only one that we have, but if you can grant me any more to be able to spread your good news and your love, I would be greatly appreciative of that. And after that, it was the most comfortable, warm feeling I've ever had during Mass. I mean, it was bizarre feeling. And I called my wife after. I said, you know what? I know I sound crazy right now. Just listen. And so I said, you need to go do a test. I think you're pregnant. She's like, Jake, every time you do this, you get my hopes up and I'm not pregnant. I'm like, Ash, come on.
Try it. Just
try it. And it wasn't a day and a half later. She just started feeling weird. I guess the rest of the next day, she never told me. And then she shot me a text. She goes, what was that feeling you had at Mass the other day? I said that you're pregnant. And she never texted me back. I'm like, good. Just throw the string to the kitty and just have me start chasing. And so I get home, and sure enough, she was pregnant. Wow. And I'm like, there was something that happened there.
That is something.
Dude.
And yeah,
So cool.
I think it's just it was really bizarre, but it was really cool. And there's only one person hand that all over to, right?
I know you told us before. I'm not sure we were on tape though. When's the baby due?
June 5th.
June 5th.
Nice.
Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah. Baby boy.
Congratulations.
If anyone has names, throw them in the comment section below.
You're gonna get some bizarre names. Huh?
Yeah, I don't. It's a constant conversation.
Yeah.
Over and over again.
I love it.
Well, that's exciting.
That's good.
Exciting.
Yeah, we're really excited, and whatever God can grant us, we'll be happy with. But we want a big family. Ashley, my wife, she comes from a really, really cool family. She's 1 and 2 biological, and then she has 4 adopted brothers and sisters, a few of them with special needs. So she comes from a big family, and her mom did foster care for, I think, 26 years. So she grew up as that second mom in the household. So that's why she married me, because she's really patient. So gosh, she's a saint. So she's great. And yeah. And then, from my standpoint growing up, and my mom and by the way, happy birthday, Mom.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, Ann.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
So
it is today.
It is today. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. My mom grew up the youngest of 8, and that was some of the most fond memories that I had growing up, was going to the farm and all my aunts and uncles playing cards or doing whatever inside, and then all the kids just running around playing outside and all the farmland and exploring. I'm like, money can't buy this. This is freedom, and this is love right here.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to try to recreate for my own family. So
Awesome.
Man, I've known you forever, and I've learned so much just here, and I've gotten the chills probably 6 times. So
you have a coat on, though.
I know, and that's the weirdest thing, right? So
I gotta tell you, and you know this already, and I'm sure you do too, but you have the mannerisms of your dad.
I know, it's
You
wow,
sound
isn't
like
it?
if I close my eyes, sometimes I think
Yeah,
it's Jay sitting there.
yeah,
Yeah.
It's amazing. It is amazing.
Well, he was great.
You're doing
He
him
was
proud.
great.
Keep
Yeah.
it up.
Keep
I
it up, man.
appreciate that.
And our podcast community is growing, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna get together,
So
and it's gonna be great. We have a lot of good guests that we've had on, and we'll have you back on, kind of thing, and see your developments with your business.
yeah, we didn't even talk about business
I
yet.
know.
Yeah,
And-
that's crazy.
And
It's
it's
okay.
but it's
That's
okay
all right.
because same with us. Like we're doing business things, but we're also talking about life. We're talking about real things too.
The faith and
outside of it.
family should come first before we start talking about work.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
It's
right.
100%.
Thank you for coming in.
Yeah.
Hey,
Appreciate
thank
it.
you for
Thanks,
having me,
Jake, man.
guys.
That was
Thank
great.
you. Thank you. Oh, hold on, Mary. Boom. This one. It's like
There you go.
that one.
Yeah, yeah.